Hey everyone, today I'm back in Lost Ark to talk about the upcoming release of the Aeromancer class, as well as what are kind of my plans surrounding her, and also kind of talk about some of the new things that are going to be changing in the patch when it comes down to gearing up a new character, as well as talk about the Express event. Now, when it comes down to Aeromancer, this is a class that I've basically been looking forward to for well over a year at this point. So when Slayer got released into her stat into our Western server, it was kind of sad, but it also gave me some time to really prepare a lot of materials and also kind of see if I really wanted to play the class, because a couple of weeks ago I was basically left with the choice to either save my materials for Aeromancer or get a second character to Akan normal mode, because I now have a static that I play with in Lost Ark, and half of our static already has characters ready to do a second run of Akan normal mode. So I was kind of left with the choice, like, do I want to gear up one of my other characters to Akan normal, which in this case would be my sorceress, or do I just hold all of my materials instead and use them on Aeromancer? So I went onto the Russian server, I played until I reached Trixion, tried out both builds, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be holding on to all of my materials and I'm going to invest as much as possible into Aeromancer. Now, when it comes down to the progression of a new character come next week, things are going to be a little bit different. Now, of course, the tier 1 and tier 2 changes aren't really going to affect me personally too much, because I'm just going to be using the power pass, which there will be a South Fern power pass, which I imagine is going to get us to 1340, because that's the item level that you need to do South Fern. But it does mean that the only story that you need to catch up on is Elgasia, if you just want to be caught up with the story to do all of the relevant content, so that's going to be quite nice. And then of course, alongside the power pass, there is going to be an express event, and this is going to be the really big express event that Korea got a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to get us to 1540 and set us up with some extra materials past that, but it will also give us 5 level 3 engravings and level 8 event gems that you can just reroll for free. So it's such a gigantic event that is basically going to help us out quite a bit, and because of that, I've also decided to change my approach to how I'm going to be gearing my Aeromancer a little bit. So when it came down to my first kind of like thoughts on what I was going to do, I wanted to get her to 1540, and then once she was there, chill a bit, get some gold again, and then buy her an accessory setup for the Wind Fury build. Wind Fury is the build that I want to play the most, although as I do with most of the characters in my main roster, I do plan on getting her a Drizzle setup as well, because I did try both builds when I was in Russia, and I did enjoy both of the builds, leaning a little bit more to Wind Fury being more fun, but both of them were fun enough that I want to have both builds so that I can just switch around depending on the content that I'm doing, or just depending on what I feel like playing at the time, kind of like what I do with my other classes as well. But that was kind of like the first idea: get us to 1540, get a Wind Fury build, and then just kind of chill from there and see where I can get her in the coming weeks. Now, because we get this express event that gives us these free 5 engravings, I've decided I'm basically not really going to invest into buying engraving books or buying accessories at all, and I'm just going to be focusing on just getting her honed up instead. Now, I know that shooting for Akan is gonna be kind of out of the question, because I do not have the resources for that, and even if I did have the resources, I don't have the gold to sustain that either. But I do want to kind of get her to 1560 within the first couple of weeks. Now, I did look towards Belshazzar and kind of see what I would need in order to kind of be done with my ancient set, because of course the faster you get your ancient gear, the easier honing is going to be. And that is where the changes to Belshazzar normal mode have kind of been like a blessing and a curse. On one hand, the changes that happen to Brel normal are quite amazing, because you can now work on your ancient gear starting from normal mode, and then hard mode gives you more materials. However, the way how they approached it is, instead of having normal mode still give the same amount of materials and hard mode give more, they've nerfed the materials that you get from normal mode, and hard mode still gives the same materials that it used to before. So it basically makes it so that if the one thing you're looking for is item level, you're actually going to be gimped a little bit there, because it's going to take longer to get your gear if you do normal mode. Of course, you can just hone to 1540 and then just do hard mode immediately, but doing that means overhoning your base gear by so much that it's really not going to be worth it. We do get a new set in the early tier 3 pre-Belshazzar, which is going to be a gear set that you get from 1 to 15, and at plus 15 you get to do Belshazzar normal mode. And you can still overhone this gear if you wanted to plus 20, but overhoning this gear is very inefficient, so I don't really want to overhone it too much if I can avoid doing so. Now, if I want to do Belshazzar 5-6 on the first week, then I do need to overhone the gear a little bit, but just getting like 1 extra overhone is not really going to be too crazy on each of the pieces of gear, compared to like needing to get like 3 or 4 overhones instead. That is going to be quite a bit more. So that is why I think I'm just going to be taking it a little bit slower, and then I'll just kind of get her to 1560 when she gets there. My goal right now is kind of to go to 1540 on the first week, so that I can start working on my level 3 set, and then by the time that I get my full ancient set, that is when I want to be 1560. I am going to try to get 1560 on the second week because I want to get access to that stronger chaos dungeon, but if not, then I'll get there on the third week, because of course it is going to take 3 weeks to get your ancient gear finished. I'll look a little bit into how many materials you get from doing normal mode now compared to hard mode, and it looks like the only way that you can really finish your ancient gear in 2 weeks is if you get to do some sort of hard mode on the very first week, and doing that with the honing that is required for that, I feel like it's just not worth the effort. So I'm just going to be doing normal mode throughout, and then I'll just do hard mode when I get there. But even so, I don't think doing hard mode is actually going to change anything in terms of how many weeks it's going to get to finish the ancient gear. So I'm gonna try and attempt to get the 1560 on the second week, which means doing it with 5 ancient pieces instead of 6. But if that's a little bit too difficult, then I'm just gonna wait until that third week before I push to 1560. From that point onward, it kind of depends on how much money I have left, I guess you could say. Because I do have a decent amount of gold saved up, but the amount of honing that I'm going to be doing is probably going to put a very big dent into my gold resources. And even though I'm not going to be buying accessories or anything like that, just the raw honing cost and the potential of maybe having to buy more materials from the market, I don't really think that the gold that I have right now is going to be enough to push her to 1580. So once she reaches 1560, I'm just going to see how much gold I have left. If it's not that much, then I'm just gonna have her chill there for a while, and I'm going to be pushing a different character to Akan first. But if I do have enough gold left, and like I can just get enough resources on her like shards and leapstones, then I'm going to be pushing her to Akan as my second character. But it kind of just depends on the things. Are we going to get the gold nerf going up to 1580 that Korea has gotten? How lucky am I with my honing? Because of course the calculations that I've done so far with the materials that I have all been like worst case scenario where I hit pity all the time. Of course, in a real scenario you shouldn't hit pity all the time, so depending on how lucky I am, I might have more materials to work with. So it all kind of depends on those things. Week 1 1540, that is something that I 100% want to do, but from that point onward it kind of just depends on how lucky I am and how many materials I have to work with. Ideally I get 1560 week 2, if not then I get it on week 3, and then from that point onwards I'll just kind of look at what I got. If I do end up parking her at 1560 for a little while, I might start working on an accessory build instead, because of course I don't want to just rely on the free engravings forever, and then just kind of go from there. The level 8 gems have also been quite nice, because it means that just basically all of the level 7 gems that I had prepared, I merged them together and it gave me an extra level 9 gem. I already had 3 level 9 damage gems ready for her. Now I have a 4th one, so I have all of the 4 main skills for Wind Fury that now have a level 9 damage gem, which is going to be great because that's basically all that I need if I do want to go into Akan. Now normally for Akan normal mode, having just level 7 gems should be enough, but having level 9 gems on like your main damage skills is going to be quite nice, especially when you're looking towards joining a party finder, so that's going to be helping out quite a bit over there. But those are kind of like my plans with Aeromancer. I'm going to be investing a lot into her. Basically everything that I have right now I am willing to just spend on her. Not really going to be looking at accessories too much in the beginning, and I'm just going to be spending all of my money on honing her instead. 1540 is the main goal that I want to achieve. 1560 hopefully week 2, if not week 3, and then from that point onwards I'm just kind of going to look and see how many resources I have left. If I want to push her to 1580 next, or if I'm going to be investing it on a different character instead. And yeah, that's kind of everything. So let me know down below what character you're going to be pushing with the next Express event. Are you also going to be using it on Aeromancer, or are you going to be using it on a different class? Let me know down below. And with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.